Welcome to the Silver Gaia Show. The goddesses are here to help guide and support others on their own personal journey, blending ancient ways with modern times. Goddesses are known for their love and compassion for others and the planet. We're coming together at this time during an important shift of consciousness. Here's your hosts, Bree and Stephanie.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Bree.
And I am Stephanie.
You are listening to Silver Gaia Show on KKNW Alternative Talk Radio, 1150 AM. Stay with us for this next hour and let us help you experience your true authentic self.
Nice.
Isn't it going to be great?
It is.
So each Tuesday, what we're going to do is start enlightening others on how to be their true authentic self.
They need it. We all do.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Even Eric over there. Let's say hi to him real quick before we get busy. Hey, Eric.
Hey, good afternoon. Let me put down my beverage here real quick.
What kind of beverage you got behind those monitors?
Yeah, let's talk beverage.
Yeah, we do need to talk beverage real quick. So how was your week?
It was good, yeah. Busy as all get out, but not bad. Yeah.
Good, I'm glad. So I need to tell you guys something. Yes, Bree makes mistakes once in a while.
Yeah.
So I talked about Jamba Juice. Well, today I decided to give Jamba Juice a try again.
Right.
And guess what?
It was good.
And no sherbet.
Right.
So yay, I got Jamba Juice sitting right next to me.
Yep.
So make sure, I've learned this lesson, make sure you tell them no sherbet if you don't want it in your drinks. And then it's all good. So,
and if you do want it in, then say extra sherbet, please.
Extra sherbet, please. That's right.
Everything in moderation,
That's
right?
That's right. So today, we have a really special guest today with us, is Reverend Judith Laxer, and she's here to discuss the Divine Feminine. This show will be able to help you embrace your true authentic self, which she's really great about doing. And she's also the founder of Gaia's Temple out of Seattle. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about Gaia's Temple? That's what I want to start off with.
Sure. We'll jump straight in with Gaia's Temple. Actually, just this past Sunday, we had our 16th anniversary.
Wow.
And Gaia's Temple is a house of worship for the Divine Feminine, but our mission statement says, an inclusive ministry, Gaia's Temple fosters love of the Divine Feminine by honoring nature and the qualities of compassion and relatedness. And our vision is to bring balance in the world through the worship of the Divine Feminine.
Okay.
And our values are respect, love, peace, and integrity. So those are kind of like the foundational building blocks.
Right, your
of
mission
the
statement.
temple. Right. And so it is an inclusive ministry. Everybody is welcome in Gaia's Temple. And I founded it 16 years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it seemed at the time that it was just on a whim. But of course, you look back at these things and you realize, no, there are no accidents. And,
Right.
I had just moved into my office in Seattle in May of that year of 2000. And I gave myself through the summer to kind of settle in. And then I threw myself a big office warming party
Good.
in the middle of September. And I decided that I was going to throw a worship service on Sunday morning because people who followed earth-based spirituality, if they weren't a member of a circle or a coven or a group already, had no place to go to gather with others. There were so many solitary people who were feeling isolated.
Right.
And everywhere on Sunday morning, people are gathering in their houses of worship with like-minded community. And I thought, I would do something about that.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I had been
I
telling
love that.
Right.
I'd been telling the story of the great grain goddess Demeter and her daughter Persephone for years in ritual. And so it was the Sunday before the autumn equinox when I usually told that tale. So I just fleshed it out and I created a goddess worship service. That's what I called them at the time. And 12 people showed up, 12 women showed up at that first one. And when it was over, one of them said to me, when is the next one of these? And I said, next month.
And kind of throw something out there.
And I've been offering them on the second Sunday of every month ever
great.
since.
So do you have quite a large amount of people coming?
I do. And, it ebbs and flows. At our largest, I think we had over 100 people at one worship service.
Great.
Typically, there's about 50 or 60 people there. And I also find as time goes on that, there are certain services that are way more attended, kind of like, the Christians have, everybody goes for Christmas and Easter.
Right.
Oh, for us, it's usually Halloween, and, the October service is very well attended. But yeah, we've got a lovely group of consistent, loyal people who come every month.
So
that is great.
I know. You brought something up, and I'm glad you're here because can you explain why to our listeners why it's more Halloween?
That's what I was going to ask you.
And I know the answers, but I'd like you to explain it.
Yeah. Well, the secular holiday that we know as Halloween to pagans or earth-based
religion,
right, is the time when the veil opens between the worlds, between the living and the dead. And so this is a time for us to honor our beloved dead. And so the services that I provide in Gaia's Temple on that day or in October is not about ghosts and goblins and, all of the madness that has happened in popular culture, but the true origins of it, which is to help us recognize that we come from a lineage, that when our beloveds die, they're not gone, to connect with them through the veil, to send our messages of love, hopefully to receive some messages for our
paying
own
homage.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That is nice.
It is beautiful. And we also have a fantastic Samhain ritual.
And that's what I want to find out about, too.
What is it again?
It's called Samhain. It's spelled Samhain. It's the Celtic way of saying, which is the original name for it, All Hallowed Evening, which is what became Halloween.
Right.
But it's Samhain. Some people say Samhain or Samhain. I've heard it pronounced lots of different ways.
Right.
But every year we have a big, beautiful Samhain celebration where we do a magnificent ritual where we honor our ancestors. We dance the spiral dance.
Good.
We have a beautiful ancestor altar, and people bring their photos and remembrances of their beloved dead. And this year it's open to the public. So
good.
Give it a little plug here if that's all right.
Yes, do.
So it's going to be on Saturday night. I think that's October 29th, last Saturday night of October. And it's going to be at North Seattle Community College.
Good.
And everyone is welcome. And
I'm so glad to hear this.
We ask people to bring photos, of their ancestors for the altar. We have a big potluck feast afterwards. It's a great fundraiser for Gaia's Temple. Charge $25 at the door. We have a magnificent ritual where we journey to the underworld and pay our respects and return safely in beautiful sacred space.
Oh, I
like that.
I love that.
I'm going.
We're going.
Yeah, okay.
Excellent.
We're going to grab Teresa. She's going to come with us.
Do wear your witch's hats.
Yes.
Yes.
I got enough black stuff. That's my color, and bring the hats and stuff. Well, that's great. So the one question I have, are men able to come to this also?
Everyone is welcome in Gaia's Temple.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yes, that's why the mission statement begins with an inclusive ministry.
Okay.
Because we really believe how important that is.
Right.
And especially for a goddess worship service, because now we're calling out the divine feminine,
right,
which I believe is necessary in our culture and in our world for balance, and yet naming it specifically, like when you go to church, let's say, it's not, it's inherent that we're going to be worshiping God there.
Right,
in our culture, we just know God is male.
Right.
But when you call it a goddess worship, then it's kind of like, it comes under the heading of chick flick. Like men just think, oh, that's not for me, it's for women. And it's for everyone.
Right.
That's something you had to explain in your classes, too.
Right. And that's what I'm going to bring up right now. Okay. So my memories go really far back. And so on Lemuria, over 50,000 years ago, goddesses were known as guardians of developing societies. Isn't that kind of a cool thing when you think about it?
Yeah.
And so it's men and women were taking that title. And so some may say, today a man might say, no, I'm the word God, right? And the women use goddess. But when you put it all together, it still means the same thing. Guardians of developing societies and protectors of this land. And it's like, so that's where I kind of come from. So I think that is just great. So
what time is that on the 29th of October?
That'll be at 7 p.m.
Okay, I am definitely going. I'm going to bring my man.
Yeah. I'll bring mine.
It's a date.
It's a date.
It's a
Can't wait
date.
to see
I
you.
love it.
Okay,
I love
come on,
it.
people.
So the one thing is at Gaia's Temple, what else do you do to help people?
Yeah, well, the services are like any other worship service. We create sacred space. There's beautiful music. I offer what I call a teaching. I kind of step away from all of the all of the words that they would use in church. So I don't call it a sermon or a homily. I call it a teaching.
Right, and
it is a teaching. And it's, the teachings are all based on, there are actually two things that come together. One is it's always based in nature. So we're always looking at what's going on in the season. And in our spiritual practice, we're looking to emulate nature and just get back to what is natural. Because we've gotten so far away from that, and look at our world. Look at our world because of it.
Right.
So it's really based in nature, and then of course what's happening in the popular culture. And so when you pull those two things together, then there have endless ideas of teachings that I write up and offer.
Good,
and it's beautiful.
So they can go to your website and find out all the teachings, the calendar, everything, right?
Yes. You can go to it's gaiastemple.org.
Oh, okay. So that is great. So on the masculine, divine masculine.
Yes. So we include the divine masculine in Gaia's Temple in my teachings. I will say that the emphasis is strong and more heavily geared toward the divine feminine. But that's because we're following that vision of our world, which is a more balanced world.
Right.
And everywhere else in our culture, in spiritualities, the majority of spiritualities, we just find the divinities to be male.
Right.
And so, in trying to balance that, we have to really kind of pump up the goddess. I guess
Right.
It's kind of a masculine way of saying it.
Right.
But to really revere her and hold her up and return her to her rightful place for balance. And what's so beautiful about that is that the men that are coming to Gaia's Temple are finding the beauty of it. And they're also finding that in understanding and including and worshiping the divine feminine, it's not emasculating at all. In fact, they're finding a great sense of relief because their authentic selves have a place.
Right.
Good. Just because they're men doesn't mean they don't feel have emotions, can't be vulnerable or frightened or any of the other parts of human condition. And yet our culture tells us they're supposed to suck it up. And, which we all know is ridiculous.
Right.
And we know you cry.
And we know you cry. And we know that if you're not crying, that's going to erupt in
Inside.
other unhealthy ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, great. I'm glad to hear that. So what we're going to do is take a short break, and we'll be back with more with Reverend Judith Laxer. And see you back here in a few minutes on the Silver Gaia Show.
Crystal Voyage, located in Tacoma, Washington, is here to help guide your personal journey of awakening and raising your personal vibration. Tap into their on-site practitioners to choose from personalized readings, massage therapy, Reiki and energy healings, body-mind kinesis, life coaching, and many more modalities. Check out their store showcasing an extensive array of crystals, stones, jewelry, books, and more. They also promote a network of readers offering animal communication, past life regression, aura cleaning and healing, channeled messages, numerology, and so much more. Visit their website at www.crystalvoyage.com to learn more.
Hi, this is Susan Harmon, inviting you to join me every Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific Time, for the Susan Harmon Hour. I'm always curious, and I enjoy discussing a wide array of interesting and provocative subjects with fascinating and erudite guests. If you're looking for grounded authenticity with a twist, you'll want to join us for a fast-moving and informative hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Jamie Lemon is a licensed massage practitioner and has owned her practice in Kent, Washington since 1998. Through her own personal life experiences, she's been guided to many different natural healing modalities. After experiencing the benefits, she became certified in modalities, allowing her to share them with those interested. Schedule your private session with Jamie today at kentmassage.com or call 253-332-7318.
Ready to shake things up? Try Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to the Silver Gaia Show. So, Judith, let's talk about the divine female and male energy, and why it's so important this time of the shift that we've gone through since 2012, of bringing the ancient knowledge back and weaving it in with the energy we have for today. Why is that so important?
Right. Well, the distinction that I want to make here is that in the majority of the world religions who view the divine as masculine and masculine only, he's kind of like a single guy.
Right.
But the goddess has a consort.
Right.
And so she is the divine partner. And that's what I think has been missing.
Yes.
It's not that one is better than the other, one is more powerful than the other.
Thank you
one
for
should
saying
be in
that.
complete control and the other one should not. It's that there needs to be that divine partnership.
Right.
So I think what's ancient that we're bringing back is this concept of both and.
Right.
As opposed to only this or only that.
Right.
And if you look at, and we all know what's going on in our world, it is so desperately out of balance. The logical, linear, technological, that faster is better, more is better. That whole way of thinking and whole way of operating has just thrown everything out of balance.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that. I'm going to bring this on a really simple level right now for a reason. I'm throwing things out of my house that I do not feel I need, right? So I've been leaving it out in front of my house for free. And from beautiful glass dining room sets to whatever, I had way too much stuff, right? We're saying more is better. And I know the more I clean out, the more energy that I release.
Yeah.
I'm able to work with myself and my family clearly.
More clear thinking.
Right. What are you getting?
Yeah, well, when I had to clean out my house to sell it, it just got lighter and lighter and lighter. And, I do believe you have to clear.
Yep.
You have to get rid of the old to bring in the new. And that's what we're doing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're weaving new energy in your house, just like we're doing in the universe right now. So what I want to say, they may call it new energy, because old energy the ancient energy's back,
It
and
is.
we're weaving it all together as
now,
one.
we can't go back to the time before the way it was, because we do have the advancements that we have, or whatever is pertinent in our culture, and we can't really know exactly what that was in that culture. But we do and must bring back that sense of equality and fairness.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then see how that plays out in our culture.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So I want to find out about your book.
My book. My
wrote
book
a
was
book?
published. Yes, I wrote a book. It's a collection of 8 short stories that accompany the pagan wheel of the year. So each story depicts ordinary people sort of living their magical spiritual lives according to the solstices and the equinoxes and the cross-quarter days on the pagan wheel of the year. And I just love that little book.
Yeah.
And I wrote it because, so many people were asking me when I was going to write a book, because, I teach and I preach and I this and that and the other. And, and also, for your career, really, your book is like your calling card. If you don't have a book, you don't get to be a keynote speaker or any of those sort of things. So I knew it was really the next step. But I had a lot of trouble getting to it because there were so many how-to books on everything with regard to spirituality and particularly things that were more alternative. And I just thought, I don't want to be another how-to book. We don't need another book on how to do ritual.
No,
or blah, blah, blah.
You're absolutely correct.
But then I realized that there really were no stories about people who were living that weren't science fiction or fantasy, like really out there, but that weren't really grounded in ways that we could possibly imagine ourselves living. So I started to write these stories, and next thing I knew, I had 8 of them, one for each Sabbath. So it's called Along the Wheel of Time, Sacred Stories for Nature Lovers.
And is it still available for people?
It is available.
How
It's
do they get
available
that?
through Ravenswood Publishing, so you can go
good.
to their website. But it's also available on Amazon and
Okay,
Barnes
great.
& Noble if you want to get on your Nook or your Kindle or any of those things. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's helping enlighten a lot of people that way.
I think it has. Yeah, I mean, I don't, it never sells as much as you hope it would. But I
Right.
think the people that have gotten it and read it have had great feedback from the people who have read it. And the cool thing about it also is because it's not just one story, you can use it as a companion book. So you can go back to it year after year, and as you get close to that Sabbath on the wheel in season, you can read it to bring yourself back to what the true meaning of it is from a nature perspective.
Oh, that's
Good.
So
great.
it's it's ongoing.
Right. Well, we're going to have to get one.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
Yep.
I want a signed copy.
All right, you've got one.
All right. So now we're going to go into the masculine feminine Why do they have to work together? I mean, they really have to. And I'm going to
if
push
they don't,
this,
it's going to compete.
right.
We're going to repeat.
And repeat. And I don't want to repeat it again. And
Done
the whole,
repeating.
Right. So the whole thing that I was getting about this new energy, Stephanie, was that, since 2012, men have been going through a shift. I'm going to put it that way. Mm-hmm. Because I promised my husband I wouldn't say a certain word no more. So we're going to do it nicely. And I hope he's listening, because he knows how much it takes for me not to say that word to him. But anyway, men had gone through since 2012. Now we're done.
Right.
Okay. So how are they able to balance themselves back out? What do you think about that question?
I think that's a great question. I think we could talk to days about that. Mm-hmm. I believe, if I understanding your question of how are they bringing in the balance now that it's
their own personal balance back.
Well,
I know I'm asking a tough one today.
That's a tough one. I mean, that's a great question for the guys. So
when my husband,
I can just say, off of my boyfriend Gene, for him to recognize that this new energy that was affecting him and how he was balancing himself is, I believe, for me, that he slowed down a little bit and to soak it in, and he didn't have to flex his muscles as much,
right?
And it was softening him. And we would get into arguments. We're like, why are we arguing? Why, And finally, the answer came to me. He needed to use more of his female energy to talk to me in a disagreement that we were having, and I had to use more of the male energy to not take things so personally.
Right.
And once we realized that he was going to work with the new energy and I was going to work with the male energy, that's when we started getting along, and it's working. He's softened a little bit. He's not, as flexing his muscles.
Here, I'll tell you what. With my husband,
okay,
Kelly, he gave some of his personal power away.
Yeah.
He let others control him instead of holding on to his power. It affected him that badly. Mm-hmm. And finally now he's brought it back. Mm-hmm. He's been out of town for a couple of days. So there's a lot we need to talk about, but it's bad. He's taking control of it, right? But losing that personal power that you give away to somebody,
right?
No matter it be your boss, no matter it be your wife or your friend or your son or whatever, right? You don't do that. And so he's had to learn to bring his personal power back to balance him back. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that, Judith?
Well, Stephanie, when you were talking about, I think you touched on two things that are really important. And the first is that, you said your boyfriend, Gene, when he became aware of this shift.
Right.
That is a very loaded statement because a lot of people are not aware of the shift.
Right.
They only notice something's wrong. Or something's different, or they are in denial and refusing to see that there is a shift in consciousness that's going on and a shift between feminine and masculine energies. And so they are trying desperately to keep things the way it's been.
Yes.
And that is just causing one hardship after another. So the fact that we all know consciousness is everything.
Right.
So the awareness of that is number one.
Yes.
And then the second thing that you said is that it's allowing him to slow down a little bit. And that's something that I think is really so important about paganism that is lost in our culture now, which is earth time.
Right.
Slow down. Yeah. Everything is so accelerated, and we don't make good decisions when we're hurry, anxiety.
Right.
It's just not the best way to go about it. But if we take a deep breath and
just take your time and slow down,
you get a chance to think about how might I do this differently.
Right.
How could I answer this that's not in reaction.
Right.
Just that gut response, which is just from being trained and enculturated for so long. So we can interface differently.
And she's making a really good point here. Remember on the freeway today we're coming out, and I'm doing over speed limit. I got kind of lead foot.
I mean, she wasn't going over that fast. I mean, she was just driving.
Right, and cars were having a fit that I was going. I was like the flow of traffic, but they want to do like 80, right? It's like, slow down, guys.
Slow down.
It's not me. It's not anybody else. It's you.
Well, she got a dirty look. And I'm like,
I didn't even notice it.
This lady just
I'm just
looked
driving.
over at you and just shook her head. And I'm like, there's all these lanes. Yeah. Why are you getting mad at, Bree?
Right.
For just driving? And she wasn't going fast enough. There's all these other lanes to choose from. This is what,
So
other
it's not like,
people's...
it's not like I'm 98 years old and driving, and I'm just like going, wow,
Do you
slow down.
Do you think maybe that woman had too much male energy? She was flexing her muscles while driving.
I just think we're all enculturated to it.
Yeah.
Everything is about
Yeah.
whoever gets there fastest is the winner,
Right.
or
And
is
it's not
better.
that.
And it's
Gotta
not true.
stop.
And all of the technology, which was supposed to save us time,
Right.
has it saved you any time?
No,
it's
no.
a total time sucker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I have 2 phones, right? One for business, one for personal, and they're both going off constantly. It's like,
Right.
finally, it's just shut one off and leave it at home, or I don't want to hear it for the day.
That's why I garden.
Yes.
Because I'm out there, and you know what? The world can everything slows down. It's just me and the zucchini. You know what I mean? Me and the squash, me and my
right.
tomatoes,
Right.
me and my herbs. And is oregano on dinner tonight. And
Right.
it just slows me down. It's absolute sanctuary. Now, I know not everyone has a garden or can garden or even wants to, but somehow
I'm going to learn
dropping-
one day. I will learn one day.
just dropping all the rest of it and getting out in
Right.
nature.
Yeah.
It's really, it's so soothing, and it just reminds us who we truly are.
That's what I
which
tell
is part of nature.
that I tell people is you need to get out in nature, put your feet on the ground, and if you go out and put your feet on the ground and you pay attention, you'll notice.
Right.
You'll notice you are feeling better.
Right.
And there's a reason it's called Mother Nature.
Right.
When we
Thank
commune
you.
with nature, that is us connecting to the divine feminine.
Right.
And we've never really lost that
Right.
because we're still on the planet. So
Right.
we're still going to be connected with nature. But not if we're, like you said, always indoors.
Right.
Not if we're always looking at a screen
Yep.
or
Right.
the clock, And when you get out in nature and you drop all the rest of it and can really just be with the water and the air and the fire and the earth.
I think that's why I'm having such a big thing at my house, organizing, get rid of stuff, so I have time to do that again.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So I haven't had
important.
time.
You definitely need to make time to get. It will balance you.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
know.
sometimes I hardly wear shoes, that. And I don't care if it's raining or not, I'm outside and I got to go ground. No, I can do it in my house, whatever, but I'd rather be outside around my tree, hugging my tree and grounding,
Yeah.
and throwing a few crystals out, having fun and stuff, and just doing what I need to do for me.
Yes. How is it that you ground when you, if you could, tell the listeners?
Oh,
what is-
high ground?
How could they ground?
So I take, for me, and this is my favorite way, I take my consciousness, go down to Gaia, and I just let her embrace me for a while, and then come back up.
Right. And it's like,
And there's other times where I bring the energy from Gaia all the way back up to spirit,
Right.
through all the chakras, right? Go up to spirit, and then come back down.
Yeah.
And, the energy back down through all the chakras, because I've cleaned all my chakras then, too. So those are different ways I do it.
Right.
And then there's other times, I'm famous for the bathtub.
right, the bathtub.
The bathtub.
Water.
Water for me. It calms me down, makes my brain to stop thinking,
Right.
and that's where I can just turn on a tape recorder and listen to what messages might have come through. But that's real important for me.
Yeah.
And so if I ground, laying in bed, I can't ground. I've noticed that I cannot ground in bed.
In bed. I can't ground with my glasses on.
Nope.
It feels weird. It's like I got to take them off.
Yeah.
Even if they're on my head, they have to come off.
Right. Well, you know why is that? It's the metal, the plastic, and everything that
That's what I figured. It was just
it interferes.
interfering.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some people even do it with music going, right? I can't do it with music on. I have to have it quiet and
Right.
still. But my really favorite place is in the bathtub where it's quiet and I'm left alone with some candles, and I might have my favorite crystal with me in a hand, and that's when I really ground. And I come out maybe 2-3 hours later, and my husband forgets I'm back there, and I'm cold, and there's hardly any water in the tub, but it was okay. It worked for me.
I think many people are discovering that they are grounding and didn't know it.
Right.
How you feel when you get out in nature or by a river or by the ocean,
Right.
and how that feeling makes you feel. That is grounding. That is becoming connected with Gaia.
Right. Well, I know one thing for me and stuff is that I've been told that I need to take more time for myself. And that's this weekend is going to be for myself and taking that time.
Well,
And
if you don't take that time, you're going to build up a lot within yourself.
right.
You got to take that time to recharge. every day. Sometimes not as long as others, but we all definitely need to take a breather, and it benefits everybody around you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you can let go of some of that. You know, you had built up anger from work or significant other, and ground and ask for that help. You'll be amazed. Just as, like I said before, when you were walking by in the woods or by the ocean or the river,
yeah,
you feel peace.
Yeah, so many people will say that, you know, like going out a walk in the woods, you know, that's my church.
Right?
And, you know, they're really tapping into something.
Right,
there.
right,
Listen,
right,
you're
right.
Do
yes.
find sanctuary
There's
in
a reason.
nature.
There's a reason why you said it feels like your church is because it is.
And it is. And you know what? We're gonna come take a short break.
Okay.
We're gonna come back with Judith and talk more about that.
That'd be
being
great.
in nature and why it will bring us to our true authentic self. So join us here in a few minutes with more Silver Gaia and Judith Laxer. Thank you.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Do you want to learn English for free? Visit usalearns.org. Our free website offers hundreds of interesting videos and educational activities for learning English online. More than 7 million people around the world have used USA Learns to increase their job opportunities and improve their lives. Use your computer, laptop, or tablet and start learning English today for free at usalearns.org.
Need help getting started with self-help? You came to the right place. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back, everyone, and more with Judith Laxer. I am so excited to have you here. I can't say it enough.
Thank you. I'm having a great time.
Great. So can you tell us more about communing with nature?
Yes. Well, I guess the thing that I would say is that it's primal. And I think we hold those ancient memories of really developing who we are as human beings in a natural setting.
Yes.
And now, as we get further and further away from that natural setting, we're finding ourselves, you know, stressed out and ill individuals who are not having a good time of it.
So
you know,
can I interrupt you for a minute?
Sure.
So, where I've lived, I've always been in a log cabin or in a mountain, except I grew up in Washington, in Tacoma, but I left 30 years ago, right? So I come back here, and I'm actually taking a Victorian home and trying to make it as country looking as possible.
Yeah.
What do you suggest for someone like me? Because there's a lot of us out here.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So we don't have the grounds around us. We live in a town.
I see.
So I'm trying to make the inside as comfortable and country looking or whatever I can.
Our homes need to be sanctuary. We need to feel when we get home that we can drop everything.
Right.
From the outside
and so
world.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's very individual, but I think another thing would be to make sure that we carve out time to get into nature.
Right.
And how sad it is that we have to carve out time.
Right,
Carve it away
right.
from what?
Exactly.
Whose life is this,
Someone else's ideas.
Somebody else's ideas of how we're supposed to be spending our time.
Right.
But if we make sure that even once a week we're getting to a park somewhere, a park setting, or just getting into the woods, or walking with our feet in the water, or on a mountaintop and feeling the air in our hair, you know, I think that's just going to be so much better for our mental and spiritual health.
Right. Well, so like with me, since I haven't been able to carve out time in the last couple months, I've been turning my house inside to look like more nature.
Into sanctuary.
Right. It's a sanctuary, my house is. And so I got a couple plants. You know, I'm not real good with plants, but I'm going to learn, thanks to a friend of ours. She's going to teach us how to handle plants. Stephanie's laughing. She goes, I'm just one of those people that can't grow plants.
Right.
And I'm lucky that my other ones haven't died, but they're still in my kitchen with my fairies and everything. It's that bad. So, and I have no fake ones in the house. Bamboo plants are doing well.
Oh, yeah.
Those are in my living room, for the feng shui situation. But anyway, so is that a good thing for me to be doing right now since I have been able to carve out time? But I am this weekend, though.
I think
that
so
I am
too.
doing.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's go to our next subject, women of wisdom.
Women of Wisdom.
Can you tell us more about them?
Yeah.
Sure. I've been participating in Women of Wisdom, the conference here in Seattle. This coming February in 2017 will be the 25th anniversary of the conference.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yeah, and I was very highly involved in leadership there kind of early on through the late 90s and into the early 2000s. I was board president for a couple of years and done a lot of ritual theater there and was a ceremonial director and read tarot cards there and led workshops. In fact, I hold the record there. I've led workshops there consistently for 23 years in a row.
Wow.
I know,
Good.
which is something.
That's great.
And I'll be doing so again in February. And it's really changed and evolved because you can imagine in 25 years, where we were 25 years ago as opposed to where we are now. We're a much different culture.
Right.
And so it was formed. Chris Danis is the founder, and she formed it because she had led a workshop, I believe, at Unity Church where it began, where women just had a safe space to start telling their stories. And she saw the power of that and wanted to create something on a larger scale.
Okay, great.
And so that's how it began. And 25 years ago, women coming together and sitting in circle to tell their stories and to find their own personal empowerment was crucial and really important. It was like the next wave of women's empowerment in the world.
Right.
And it's still, it's still going strong. It's changed a lot over the years, and but it's still quite a beautiful conference. And in the last, I'd say 5 or 6, maybe even longer than that, it's been for women only.
Okay.
And but
that's
the
what I
evening
understand.
programs have always been open to men. So for the keynote speakers and the ritual theater and that sort of concerts, men were always welcome to that. But the workshops during the day were always women only. And about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even more, don't quote me on this, they started opening up several of the workshops for men and women also. So men were now welcome to come. Not to every workshop, but to specific ones.
Right.
And I think that was also kind of a sign of the times that, at first it was really important for women to find their power. And now men are part of the conversation about the divine feminine and about women's power. And they're also finding that by connecting with their own internal feminine, because we know we each have masculine and feminine energy inside of us, that, like I said, it doesn't emasculate them. It doesn't take anything away from who they are as men. If anything, it offers them more wholeness.
Right.
And how beautiful that is. And so there's been a shift there to include men in some of the workshops.
So what workshops are available? I can't even talk. Available to them.
They have different offerings every year, and I'm not exactly sure what's going to be available in 2017, but I know that some of them have been about dialogue between men and women, nonviolent communication, that sort of thing. I can't off the top of my head know exactly what those were, but
I know that Stephanie and I were talking about there needs to be a group for men.
Yeah, well,
there really has to be.
Have you heard of the Mankind Project?
No.
You should check out the Mankind Project.
Writing that
it's
down.
Magnificent. And it is like for men what I think Women of Wisdom has been for women and similar organizations about women's empowerment. And it's magnificent.
And is it located here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It might also be beyond Seattle, but I know that there are the Mankind Project takes place around here too. And they have workshops and weekend retreats for men to get in touch with their emotions, to build a brotherhood again of support so that it's not just, who's ever, alpha dog is the high guy, dropping all of those cultural constructs that have nothing to do with being human. And it's magnificent. And I've seen and know some men who have experienced this work, and it's just really wonderful. It is happening for men.
Good.
And but it is something that men have to seek out.
Okay.
And, I have a private practice as a psychic and a spiritual counselor. And I can tell you that 90% of my clientele are women.
Right.
And 10% are men. And men are enculturated to believe that they can't ask for help.
Right.
Because then that makes them look like they're weak.
Well,
True.
I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to announce it. I wasn't going to announce it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and announce it. My husband, retired Ranger, believes in all this. He's actually going to be guest hosting also at least once a month on the Silver Gaia Show.
Nice. I will so enjoy having him on.
My husband Kelly's a hoot. Let me just tell you, he's a hoot.
Nice.
And he wants to come in here and let the listeners know.
Let the men know that,
Right.
you know.
There are men like us, and we can congregate together, and we can build a brotherhood that needs to be done around here. You know, so he's not worried about looking like the weird one. His wife's already doing that, so that's all right.
Okay.
You know how my husband, Kelly's just funny. But no, this is something that we didn't even hear about. We need to know this, and, you know, that needs to be brought up because I had so many men that have been coming up to me and you know, emailing me or calling me and saying, where is there a place for us to go? If we're in Tacoma, you know, where is there something besides, you know, well, Crystal Void's a great place. There's quite a few men in there. You know, but other places where they can just meet quietly and talk. So I'm going to have my husband check this out.
Yeah, Mankind Project.
I just would like the men out there to understand, to try something different.
Yeah.
You know, and just really just find out what this could be really about for them.
Yes.
You know, and your life could change.
And you have to approach it with curiosity.
Yes.
And if you have a preconceived notion that this is going to take your power away or that it's going to emasculate you or any of those things, then there's a great hesitation. But if you come at it with curiosity, like, what might this be like?
Exactly.
How could this be? Is it, there might be a different possibility for me to have a completely different experience in the world. How might that be? That's just such a like with anything,
Right.
and for anyone,
Right.
curiosity is such a better way to approach things because your mind is open.
Well, that's what we're here to do: is be curious and create.
Right.
Well, do you remember when we had the goddess groups going
Yes.
up? Right.
Yes.
And we're going to start those up again. But anyway, and my husband came into one of those groups. And he was swirling his hands and doing some stuff, right? And we ended up backing off from like 6 feet. It was like, I don't know what he's doing, but, you know, he's a very special, you know, he has some magi abilities, right? And it was funny because everybody's just watching him. We got off the subject and everybody's just looking at him. He's like, what's wrong? But he's going to be explaining all that, why he does what he does.
Right.
And bringing up the flame and putting that flame back in him and why he needs to put that back in.
Right. And like we were talking about earlier before the show, I think that it is important for women to still have women-only space.
Oh, yes.
I
Just
agree.
as it's important for men to have men-only space because I think in that relational realm, a lot of healing can take place.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be, but it doesn't have to be only that way.
No.
It's because separation and isolation is not the answer to
Right. No.
anything.
No, it's
you know,
not.
But
No,
there
it's
is
not.
time for that sort of separation for us to heal within ourselves.
Right.
I mean, with each other. And then bring that back to a
Right.
beautiful union. And
Right. Because
a
I
much
know-
more harmonious.
Right.
Yes.
I agree with that because there's things that I want done only with women.
Right.
For me. And there's things that my husband's going to want only for him and your boyfriend, Gene, you know, for them, which is
Right.
men.
Right.
And then, but we can talk about it as a couple together also.
Right.
You know, so, and that will help balance things out at your home, office, work, whatever, you know.
And the
that we do. The world period
Yes,
is right.
Yes, exactly.
You
Going
know.
beyond spirituality and into cultural and political and scientific and
Right.
psychological.
Oh, yeah. Big time psychological. It's just changed.
Right.
You know, that's the one thing I've noticed. So, so what do you think about, I want to say a certain way. How, I know, I'm listening. I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this one. When, I know dead air, it sucks, but, you know, somebody's got to do it once in a while. What about health and diet? I was just plain and simple, okay? You know, everybody knows that, you know, I'm a little short, 5 foot chubby person. Love it, you know, but what about health and diet with this
With
situation?
regard to the divine feminine, you mean?
Yes.
Well, the first thing that I want to say about that is if you look at some of the figurines that they have found in their archaeological digs, like the Venus of Willendorf, you know, these were the figures that were revered because women were revered as the life givers.
Right.
And they weren't Barbie doll.
Right.
No.
They were not Barbie doll.
Yeah.
And so we really see how far we've come away from what is truly depicted, or
Right.
what is the truth of women. And that doesn't necessarily mean that all women look like the Venus of Willendorf, but all
Right.
women don't also look like Barbie.
Right.
Right.
And so to say that any one way is better or right,
right.
as opposed to the other ways is, that's also looking through this very masculine lens about what we're supposed to, how we can be perceived as beautiful and erotic. And I think that's very limited.
Thank
and
you.
I think it's really sad.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a whole movement called health at any size.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with your weight.
Right.
And it has to do with how well you
That
love
is
yourself
awesome.
and how well
Yep.
you treat yourself.
Yep.
But I also think that on another level, there is something very unhealthy going on, which of course is the way that we're treating nature.
Right.
And so with herbicides and pesticides
Right.
on everything,
Right.
and then that's what we're eating.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a big problem.
And that's what
Big
I wanted
problem.
to hear from you right there.
Yeah.
Because personally, I like my curves.
Right.
I'm who I am.
Me too.
I love myself. And, that's just how I'm built. I just say we're just all built in the goddess ways, and this is how it's supposed to be. Because I notice with me, and I don't know about you, but the more that I do my spiritual work, the more curves I'm getting.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I'm doing my work right.
Yeah, and also that's also part of the aging process. And in a culture that worships youth,
Right.
then that means it's only the young
that-
before the metabolism starts to slow
Right,
down as
right,
valued. But the truth of it is that as time goes on, the physiologically we change.
Right.
That shouldn't be no less valuable.
No,
Right.
Right.
no.
Yeah.
No, I agree
There's
with
another
that.
big should.
Right.
It shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't be like that,
shouldn't
is
be like
right.
that.
But learning to accept yourself for who you are and
Accept
what you are.
yourself.
That is another reason why I think the return of the divine feminine is so crucial and so important specifically for women.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there was no icon or idea of spirituality or divinity as feminine, right? All I learned was that, we were the bringers of original sin. So we were guilty
Yes.
from the word go.
Go. Yeah.
I'm so lucky I had the mom I did.
You are.
Because she
Yeah.
would have knocked the heck out of everybody for talking like that
Yep,
Yeah.
around me.
But that is not, you're not the norm, right?
No.
The majority
Yeah.
of women
Yeah.
Yeah.
grew up feeling like we were, guilty and wrong from the get-go. And then we have to fit into a very narrow little idea of what femininity is in order to be valued.
Right.
And so in bringing the divine feminine back, she's known as the goddess of 10,000 names in every culture.
Right.
She's every size,
Right.
Yes.
every look there could possibly be. She brings attributes of all different kinds, from righteous fury to the oceans of compassion.
Right.
Now women have something to identify with, and also to identify with it as divine, and they can find their divinity in themselves. And so what began as the women's movement for sort of political, equal rights, and this and that,
Right.
the other is now splashed over, thankfully, into spirituality.
And
So
I'm
now
so
there's
glad.
a wholeness
Right.
there.
Right.
And I think that's why the rise in this next rise in feminism that's happening now is part of the balance for this world. And I do think that began with the 2012 prophecy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the return
Yeah.
of the divine feminine. And
Right.
it's not only in our worship, but it's in women
Right.
becoming empowered enough to say to our men, it's all right.
Yeah.
You can sit down. I got this.
Right.
Every once in a while, I can take the realm.
Right.
I can take the reins. I mean,
Right,
And
right.
It's
No, I
not-
like how you said that, the
it's-
realm.
I can take the realm too, and it's not taking your power away.
Right.
We can share power now.
I had a
Right.
friend that she was going through the change in life, and then she picked up a book and had said that she was going through the change, menopause,
Right.
And then the more that she read on menopause and she became very spiritual at that time, and she found out, that this wasn't menopause. This was her change spiritually. This
Right.
was the wake-up call for her was the menopause symptoms that got her to where she is now.
Right.
Uh-huh.
In goddess circles, we say that when a woman goes through menopause, she's now holding her wise blood.
Right. Right.
And
Oh,
that
I
is,
like
that is
that.
a completely different
Yeah.
experience
And
of
that-
that
Yeah.
third phase of our lives.
Right.
Then we're just drying up and we're no longer fertile, so we're no
Right.
longer valuable.
Right. So if we
Right.
go all the way back to Nana,
Yeah.
That statement is way back from there. And
And
thank
Nana-
you very, very much.
And Nana is the
Queen
name.
of Sumeria.
That's
Okay.
right.
Goddess of love.
That's
Nice.
right.
Nana. That's
So-
funny. Nada.
Only Stephanie. Only
Sorry.
Stephanie. She's got to find something fun about that. But no, that's really true. So, like with my husband right now, you know, he's going to be coming home tonight.
Right.
And we kind of been going through a lot. We're going to talk about things and rebalancing things in our house and stuff. And with him coming back finally, I'm saying emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, all 4 parts of the body. What kind of advice can you give me to help me with my husband and for us to get that grounding back?
I would recommend that it be as tantric as possible. And by that, I mean slow and present. Slow and present. I wouldn't try to jump to any conclusions. I wouldn't try to come to an answer or even an agreement by any particular time. I would just stay with the flow and exchange of ideas and allow everything that arises to be completely acceptable with no charge on it. You know, I was talking with a student of mine recently who is having an on-again, off-again relationship with a gentleman. And she's like, as soon as I make an overture or I step forward, he freezes. And then if I don't do anything, and then he no matter what she does or doesn't do, he freezes.
Right.
And I said, this is where Tantra really comes in, because if you can take one step closer to him and then just sit and wait till like with a scared animal.
Right.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
and then you wait till the heartbeat comes down a little bit, and then we can take the next step. Everything that goes awry is usually because it's happening too fast.
Wow.
Oh, I
you
like
know,
that.
I really believe that.
I
do
too.
I do too.
I really
See,
I've
we
done-
learn- we learn
I know
so
when
many
I
new
slow
things
down
every week.
when Gene and I slow down
It's the
and go
answer.
and we go wait, we're not getting anywhere.
It's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
like
just
that.
recently been
Slow down.
trying this experiment, because everything is, okay, how quickly can I get this done? How quickly can I get this done? And I've been trying an experiment that says, how long can I make this last?
Oh.
Oh,
And
I like
even the
that.
things that I don't like washing the dishes and vacuuming
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
But how long can I make it last? Because when you drop and slow everything down, you have more room for everything.
Right.
And
That
more
makes
time
perfect
for everything.
sense.
It's miraculous.
So
and
I've been-
you really feel the difference in your life.
I
that
have
way.
been going, I got to get the office done. I need to get the pantry done. I got to get this done. I'm going to try that.
See how
For
long you
tomorrow.
can make any one task last. And the other thing about that is when you're doing that, you're only focused on that task. So if you're at the computer and you're doing this, but you're thinking, oh my God, what time is it? And I got to be there. And what am I going to wear? And what do I need? You're not fully focused there, and you're not getting it done.
You know how-
But if you only focus on that,
Right.
and everything else drops away, it takes half the amount of time, and you have more time for everything else.
Oh, I love that.
It's a miracle.
I like that too.
It's the miracle.
I know for me when okay, let's do the dishes. If I'm not feeling the time to do the dishes, there will be time.
Right.
And or
Right,
like
right,
grocery
right.
shopping, you're getting really stressed because you have to go grocery shopping
Right.
and you don't want to do it. Well, I believe that when it comes at the right time, when you feel like you're going to go grocery shopping,
Right.
that is the right time to do it, because who knows the good deals you're going to get.
That's right.
Or making that phone call that you don't want to make. And don't beat yourself up for it. Just wait for the frequency to be at the same, to make
Level.
that at that same level, and then things work out. Like, oh, you have to pay a bill and you got to call these people and make arrangements. I don't want to do it today, but you do it tomorrow and you're okay with making that phone call. Things turn out differently because you're at the right frequency, as instead of being pushed in something.
Right.
I kind of just throw my hands up and go, I know I'll get to it when the time is right. And it always finds out I get the woohoo deals.
It's true.
And I didn't have to pay the
Now,
late
didn't
charge.
we brought up that woo-woo word?
Well, that was a woo-woo. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's Fred Meyer's language for their cells.
Because we're all on the woo-woo choo-choo. That's what I call it.
Oh, my gosh.
Choo-choo. I like
Oh, my
that.
gosh. Well, Judith, I am so glad you came here today.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for having me.
So, can you give a phone number people can reach you at?
Sure. My phone number in Seattle is 206-529-8085. My personal website is judithlaxer.com.
Okay.
And Gaia's Temple is gaiastemple.org.
Okay.
And you can find out all about my work. on
And
both
the
those
services
websites.
time on?
The services are on the second Sunday of every month, except for November and December of this year. They're going to be on the first Sunday because of rental situations.
Right.
But they're at 2 o'clock on at the Shoreline Community Church, which is on 147th Street and 1st Avenue Northeast. And everyone is welcome. Doors open at 1:30. Service starts at 2 o'clock. Goes for about an hour, a little bit longer.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm really thankful. And your book. Mention your book one more time.
My book is called Along the Wheel of Time: Sacred Stories for Nature Lovers. Available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. I can't believe I said it like that.
Hey, look at that! You just said it real perfectly there. All right. Well, we'll be back in a little bit, and we're going to have a special guest, Susan Harmon. We'll see you in a little bit.